Hey friends, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. In case you've been living under a rock, elixirs have taken over the world. Like the entire world, they've actually replaced all world leaders with just elixirs. I don't know how to prove it, but I know it's true. And so I decided to go ahead and take a look at 20 of the absolute most popular men's elixir fragrances today and rank them out from worst to best. Starting off with Phantom Elixir. I'm sorry, bud. The little robot bottle everybody always beats up on him. I almost feel bad for him, you know? But I gotta say, in the Phantom lineup, Elixir is not my favorite. I think Phantom in Red is the best one. And as far as just overall compliment getting fragrances in that lineup, besides Phantom in Red, I'd probably go Phantom Intense over Elixir as well. This one's gonna have your basic standard Phantom vanilla sweetness, along with a bit of a minerality to it. Also some aquatic notes and oud thrown in there for good measure, because oud is expensive, I guess. So they were like, make that one of the notes, even though you can't really smell much oud in there at all. This is an okay fragrance if you're looking for something on the sweeter side of things that most people are gonna think smells at least okay. But as far as the elixirs of the world, probably one of the worst ones out there. 19, K Elixir, Dolce & Gabbana. At this point, I'm not even sure why Dolce & Gabbana is still making K fragrances. Because the first one came out and, you know, it wasn't really a big hit. It did not compete with Y, Bleu de Chanel, and Sauvage as far as sales goes. Not even close. And I always felt like it was clearly a few steps below those and honestly most all other blue fragrances that are popular. But they kept them coming with just minor tweaks and changes. Kept coming out with the flankers, nobody really going for them. And then they finally did the Hail Mary K Elixir. And it has been met with a resounding, this stuff is not selling. Nobody really cares about it. Nobody talks about this. It smells like a twist on Boss bottled elixir, which, you know, if you're gonna get one of those, get the Hugo Boss. It's cheaper and it smells better. Once again, it's an okay fragrance, but in general, the K line probably needs to go away after this. There's just no interest in the line for most people. After that one, Legend Elixir by Montblanc. Now to be clear here, I don't think this is a bad fragrance. I just think that it's not really super interesting, and the note breakdown actually looks way better than the fragrance actually smells. This one almost smells like a fragrance made by focus group or by committee. So like they looked at a few different popular things out there and they're like, oh, Myself Absolute, let's get a little bit of that, including the mirrored finish. But let's add in some warmth, some sweetness from stuff like the Most Wanted, you know, just little bits and pieces from a lot of different things and just smush it together. It's an okay day-to-day fragrance. It's just nothing crazy good. Hero Elixir. Now, the main issue with this one is overlap. So this is gonna have a bunch of overlap with some of the other Burberry Hero fragrances that came before it, but this is an elixir. So that means it costs more. That's really why it's so far down here, because you can go with one of the other Hero fragrances, save yourself some cash, and get something that's gonna be effectively worn at the exact same times and places. More specifically, Hero Parfum Intense. And in actuality, I think the best Hero fragrance is still the Eau de Parfum. All that said, if you do want a fragrance that's heavy on the cedar and leather, this one is absolutely worth checking out. It's just, I would start with one of the other Heroes first. And rounding out the first 5, Code Elixir. Now I think I like this one more than the average person out there. It's kind of reminiscent to Code Absolute, which was my favorite Armani Code before they discontinued it. Now it's unfortunately not the exact same as Code Absolute, and I think between the two, Elixir and the original Absolute, Absolute was better. But this does still have a nice sparkle to it, nice sweetness as well. Leather gonna be one of the main things you pick up in this fragrance. But it doesn't work for absolutely everybody. It does have a little bit of a divisiveness to it. And I think that everything that comes after this is clearly better than this. So even though I like it more than the average person, it still is down here toward the bottom. Now let's talk just super quickly about what an elixir even is. And to be honest, there really is no like defining, this is what an elixir must be, but most people would agree that an elixir generally is going to be these things. A, freaking expensive. Almost always, the Elixir branded fragrance in a line is gonna be the highest priced one, at least at MSRP. Also, they typically have very high performance. These are supposed to be the strongest, the loudest, the longest lasting in the line. And then finally, the quality. It should be higher than the other fragrances in the line. And every fragrance line seems to approach what an elixir is differently. Some of them basically take the existing DNA and just evolve that. Others will completely change it, throw it out the window, and come out with something completely different for the elixir. Now, speaking about prices, if you are shopping for these, you should buy them at discounters if they're available there. That's gonna save you at least a little bit of money. But if you wanna save even more, yeah, I got codes that can do that. These are also in the description. You can copy and paste them from there if you like, but you can use these codes anytime you shop at any of these stores to save yourself extra cash on top of their existing prices. All right, next up, 1 Million Night Elixir, this one by Rabanne. So this one is a newer release, and it has kind of a weird note breakdown because one of the notes is maple syrup. Not something you see all that often. There's also more common notes like cinnamon and vanilla to go alongside that maple syrup. And in actuality, I do really like the way that this one smells. So like I said, there's kind of a gap here between this one and this one. Pretty much everything from this point up, I think is absolutely worth seeking out and at least testing. Basically with that maple syrup added in here, this is a funky twist on the existing 1 Million Elixir, which I think that one, the OG, gonna be the safer bet for most people. But if you want one that's a little more interesting, more bold, but potentially more divisive, that one could work really well for you. Followed up by Bad Boy Elixir. Another one that I think I might generally like more than a lot of other people. This stuff is actually sneaky nice. It has sort of a chocolatey, nutty facet to it. And what's funny with that is when you look at the note breakdown, neither one of those are actually notes. This is mainly a leather forward fragrance, but the leather not harsh or animalic. Performance is solid, very easy to wear, great scent for fall and winter time. So back here, I mentioned 1 Million Elixir being a little bit safer for most people, and that's the next one on my list. So this one's a vanilla bomb. It has a bunch of vanilla in there, really sweet, very strong. Also has some rose in there to kind of take some of the edge off of that sweetness. I think that it's just in general an easier wear than Night Elixir, as I mentioned before. So if you're worried about, having too much overlap, you only want one, I would say check this one first. Getting close to the top 10 now. Why Elixir? So why Elixir, I'm a little bit torn on. Price-wise, of course, very expensive, very expensive. And this is one of those fragrances that made use of oud to try to make it sound like, super luxurious, high end. You're getting good value for what you're paying here, really. You should be paying double, actually. It's about $200 for a 2-ounce size bottle at full retail. So yeah, you're essentially paying $100 per ounce. That is very expensive. So for 3 ounces, essentially you'd be paying $300, which isn't exactly how fragrance prices work, of course, because larger size bottles, you pay less per milliliter, but right now, 2-ounce bottle, $200. Outside of the oud, you have lavender, you have geranium, and you have frankincense. The longevity is good, the projection is solid, but not amazing, and that's one of the issues here. It's not crazy, insanely strong, and it also has a lot of overlap with a bunch of the other Y fragrances. It's basically just a tweak on the existing Y DNA. So on the one hand, it is still a Y fragrance. People love it, super versatile, compliment puller, all of that is true for sure. But then also you're paying way more to have overlap with other fragrances in the existing lineup. And it doesn't have, a performance level that's gonna blow away the eau de parfum, for example. So this is one that kind of falls in the middle because it has those pros, but also those cons. And for a lot of people in particular, this one might make more sense to get a dupe or inspired by fragrance of, because those are really well done and they cost much less. Okay, just outside the top 10, Scandal Elixir. Now, this one has kind of a semi-weirdish opening. It's black cherry, which I think smells amazing, but it also has sort of a rubbery facet to it. And again, I really like it. It's kind of weird. I'm like, black cherry and rubber. Fantastic. But I could see some people smelling that and getting less of the cherry, more of the rubbery-ish kind of feel and going, ugh, I don't like it. That being said, I think it's really nicely done as it dries down, warm, sexy, sweet, very magnetic, enticing. Performance is very good also. I think that Scandal Absolute, probably a little better than this one, but outside Scandal Absolute, I would probably get this one next. So I would get that one first, then Elixir, and then probably the Parfum version. I think that'd be my top 3. And this one I did think about moving up. So it was just like right on the cusp. This one and the next, I think 2 were kind of all smushed together. So into the top 10 now, Ralph's Club Elixir. This is one of those ones where if you know, you know. A lot of people are gonna overlook this because Ralph's Club in general is not quite as hyped as some of the other bigger lines out there. But if you like iris in your fragrances, this is really, really good. It's a great balanced iris. It's wearable, it's versatile, but it's also classy. It smells different than a lot of these other ones that are very heavily leaning on amber woods or vanilla, or some of these other ones that lean more heavily into like a deep, powerful leather note. This one has leather. It's just smoother, a little more elegant, that sort of take on leather. A great scent, maybe not quite as bombastic as some of these others, but still really nicely done. The next fragrance is one that I think a lot of people would say I am overrating in this list, putting it too high up. But it is one that the more I've worn it, the more I like it. And it has crept up over the last year or so. It's Acqua di Gio Elixir. Like I said, some people are gonna go, Acqua di Gio Elixir? Are you insane? It's not that good, bro. Drop it down. First off, magnetic cap. Only the 3rd magnetic cap here. These are elixirs. They should all have magnetic caps. Even the ones with built-in atomizers somehow make them magnetic. This basically smells like taking your Acqua di Gio DNA, mixing it with Fahrenheit cologne or Aqua Fahrenheit, that violet sort of leather adjacent, petrol-y sort of vibe. You get that in here. It also has a really nice water spritzed greenery almost to it. It smells grown up. It smells elegant, but still wearable. Really, really enjoy it. Not a fan of the smaller bottle, higher price tag kind of thing, but Acqua di Gio Elixir is one that has grown on me a bunch. Now we're into the heavy hitters. The top 8 are monsters. Le Male Elixir Absolute up first. So this basically just kind of an evolution, a tweaking of the original Le Male Elixir. So a little bit, you could say it gets dinged for not having too much originality because it's basically just, taking a step forward from that first one. But a lot of people do actually prefer the way Elixir Absolute smells to Elixir. It really just depends on kind of what you're after. Elixir is gonna have more of that honeyed sweetness, for example. And this one still has sweetness, but some people would say it's a little more grown up, has a nice plum note in there as well. Even though it's not higher up in the list, it is excellent. This stuff is great. Forever Wanted Elixir, after that, this one, Azzaro. This is another one that has grown on me a bunch. The raspberry in here is great. I love the opening, really, really, really attention grabbing. And then a nice wearable leather as it dries down. Like I just mentioned, there's a lot of leather, a lot of spices, a lot of vanilla anytime you put Elixir on the end of the name. Absolutely fantastic release though. The only part about this that sucks is the atomizer. It is literal garbage trash. Yeah, that smells pretty freaking good, baby. We're just outside the top 5. Invictus Elixir at number 6. Invictus Elixir, one of those ones that surprised me with how much I liked it. And then the more I have checked it out, just over this last short period of time, I really, really, really enjoy this. Invictus Victory Elixir mixed with Invictus Parfum, if you want to just, very simply dumb it down. So I guess it's nothing really crazy original because they basically are just taking their biggest hits and going like, nah, put them together. It doesn't exactly take a genius to come up with that, Almost like if Dior went like, hey, what if we take Dior Homme Parfum and mix that with Sauvage Eau de Parfum? Yeah, let's do it. Either something really good or really terrible is coming out of that. And if you like either of the Invictus fragrances I mentioned, Parfum or Victory Elixir, this stuff should be on your radar. It smells really nice, great usability with it. Top 5 bottled elixir right here, Hugo Boss. That fragrance almost single-handedly shifted overnight how people viewed the Boss bottled line. Because before this release, it was mainly like, they're gonna come out with a crappy limited edition, probably 2 of them a year. They're gonna be discontinued within a year or 2. Nobody's gonna care. Like Boss bottled, it existed. So had stuff coming out. There were still some people checking for them, but it wasn't like, oh, you have got to check out the new Hugo Boss. It was never like that. Then they dropped bottled elixir and everybody went, wait a second. This stuff actually smells good. It smells expensive. what? It became one of the best releases of the year. Then after that, they've had Boss Bottled Absolute alongside some other fragrances that maybe have not hit quite as hard, but are still more respected than they used to be. And this one is sort of in the Sauvage Elixir styling, you know? It's woody, it's spicy, very masculine, a little bit throwbackish, but very well done. Number 4, Guilty Elixir by Gucci. It does suffer from small bottle, high price syndrome, so absolutely my least favorite thing about the whole Elixir thing, but that one smells basically like Pegasus by Parfums de Marly mixed with Reflection Man by Amouage. Very rich, decadent, but fresh at the same time, which is something you don't actually see very often at all when it comes to Elixir fragrances. Fragrances named Elixir that you can use in summer are pretty rare. Maybe that's actually the big brain thing that somebody needs to do next. It actually makes sense. An Elixir fragrance specifically made for summer that still has very high quality, that has that performance built in, that is not leaning on heavy spices and vanilla. Basically though, out of this whole lineup, you know, Guilty, Y, and maybe Aqua de Jo and Legend, those are really the ones that you could reach for during summer. Pretty much everything else, I don't think I'd do it. This one right here though, one of the most effortlessly classy scents of the whole lineup. Top 3, Invictus Victory Elixir. Now that right there, that's just my vanilla sweet tooth. That's what that is. Sparkly and sweet with a little bit of an incensey vibe cutting through. It smells amazing in fall and winter time, but if you don't like overly sweet vanilla fragrances, you're not gonna probably like that too much. So that only leaves 2 very large Elixir fragrances left. Number 2, going with that one, La Male Elixir. So in the battle of this versus this, if I had to only keep one, still be rolling with this one. I like the honey in there, the tinge of tobacco that it has. Basically, this is an evolution of La Male Le Parfum, and then this is an evolution of that. You can draw a line from here to here to here. And of those 3, I'll take the one that came out second, this one, La Male Elixir, which leaves number 1, Sauvage Elixir. Yep, the Dior. That one right there set off all of this. Like, this butterfly affected these into existence. I mean, maybe these would still exist, right? But they would have different names, I would imagine. They wouldn't be slapped with Elixir on the end of them. Dior dropped Sauvage Elixir. It took off, and every other brand went, we are inspired by, I had a good idea. No one's done this before. What if we do Elixir? We're gonna do it and charge more, and people love it. That's basically what happened. Dior dropped Sauvage Elixir, everybody noticed. Basically, this right here, like I mentioned before, kind of similar in some ways to bottled Elixir that came after it, but Sauvage Elixir, woody, spicy, nice licorice note in there. Kind of a throwback, like 80s masculine fragrance if it were made with a higher budget and made modern. That's kind of how it comes across, at least to me. It also started the whole high concentration, high ingredient quality, small bottle, high price thing as well. Oh, and one other thing, Sauvage Elixir did the whole thing where it smells nothing like the Sauvage fragrances that came before it. So if you smell this side by side with the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, or the Parfum, they don't really have very much at all in common. Some of these brands took that to heart and they were like, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come out with an Elixir and it's not gonna smell like the stuff that came before it. Other brands said, nah, forget that. We'll just make a version that's, you know, heavier, denser, richer, et cetera, et cetera. Not that that's bad or right or wrong, just differing, you know, viewpoints, I guess, that some of these brands had. And there it is, the top 20 most popular Elixir fragrances ranked out. Obviously, this is just kind of built around what I'm enjoying smelling right now, what I'm enjoying potentially wearing. As time goes on, some of these move up, some will move down. And if you love, say, Phantom Elixir and you would put it up here, that doesn't mean you're wrong that I put this down here. Ultimately, what's most important is that you wear what you like, what makes you happy. So if I ranked one of the ones that you like a lot down here, don't take that to heart. Don't take that as a bad thing. You absolutely crush that. Wear that fragrance. Wear it proud. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.